Oh my God. So have we got an ever-evolving threat forcing a player to evolve their
That would be nice, wouldn't
strategy?
it? Well,
Have
what
we have
we
we got a game loop, mate? Have we finally got a game
have we
loop?
fi- do we finally have a fucking game loop? Is that what you're asking?
And for those
Bastards.
out there that said we should have had a game loop from the start,
Yeah, you try making a fucking indie
you
game.
make games, yeah,
Yeah, go
you
on,
do
then make
it.
your own fucking
You
game
make
then.
your own game. You make your own one with a game loop, with your game loops and your interfaces and your tutorials.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's start with something fun then, shall we? Let's load up a save game that I have prepared. So this is a game I've been playing Stargate mode, as you can see. I've gone quite far into it. My Stargate is looking nicely built. I'm in phase 6.
Well, this is the main effort now, isn't it?
This is where the main effort currently lies. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're in. So to fill everyone in who isn't aware, we're in a fixed sector now. Right. This is the game. This is the entirety of your game, and the Stargate has been built in the middle, and all of the adventure occurs around you. Mm-hmm. And we don't have the anomaly. So the anomaly and expanding forever has been consigned to a different game mode now. This game mode is more focused on construction of this epic Stargate project that we can see behind us. I mean, we always planned to do something like this, but we wanted there to be a kind of epic objective, to the game, something big to get your teeth into. So if we zoom in on this ship, just out of interest, you'll see there's a lot of mass production going on here. It's currently paused, but this is all production of Stargate parts. And these assembly tables, we're all making Stargate parts, and these are all of our raw materials. And you can see our drones are doing some capture. But this is all geared towards that objective. So let's see. What have I added that's new then? Let's go to the trade screen and go to energy. And you'll see that there is a new item, the fusion reactor.
Ooh, looks nice.
Right. $1.1 million.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. That's not dollars, it's space dollars.
Space dollars.
Right.
Space bucks.
We'll have to have a conversion rate from dollars to space dollars.
Yeah.
Let's buy a fusion reactor and some deuterium fuel pods. Right, there's the deuterium fuel pod. Do you like that? Look at that.
I do. It's nice.
It's cute, isn't it? I love that. The rampant abuse of physics is absolutely fantastic. A little floating atom icon hovering inside a gas cloud in a pink vial. Let's confirm that. Bring those in.
It's photorealistic. That's what they actually look like.
Yeah. One of the failed masterclass games, I went for sort of hard science, and I did a lot of stuff on like it was going to work the way real science worked. And it drove me up the wall.
Yeah.
It really did. It's like we're in the 24th century, okay? These are deuterium fuel rods.
Yeah, that's right. You just need it in service of the story, in service of the game.
They look cool though, don't they? I love them. They just look very different. Like I told Jesse, our artist, I want something that looks different to everything else in the game.
Yeah.
It stands out as being like a higher tier of technology. So let's install our fusion reactor. Let's put it here, say. So it works in a very similar way to the existing reactors. I'm going to need a loader, and let's go for. We already have a small tank, so I'm going to build a little fuel tank next to it. That's going to be our storage for the deuterium.
Okay.
And I'm going to use a loader, as we often do in this game, to load deuterium into this little system. Loader. There we go. So I'm going to pipe these up. So I've made quite a lot of changes to this view. So this is the cables view and the pipes view, right? Like the equivalent of utilities.
It's a lot clearer. Yeah, it's a lot clearer now.
It used to be a bit of a giant mess. It used to look more like this. And we've been doing a lot of usability testing, and we found people would get very confused and would draw cables to the wrong place. They wouldn't connect things properly, and then they would quit the game and get angry with us. And so to be honest, it's been like an ongoing challenge right from the start of the game, hasn't it? So I've changed things now, and so it's much more focused. So when you're in pipes mode, you only see the pipes. You can still see the red cables, but they're sort of dimmed, and everything else is dimmed as well. But it's just a lot more clear where your pipe networks are.
Yeah,
And then when you switch to cables mode, the pipes all dim, and now all the equipment is all semi-transparent, so it's much more obvious.
Much more
like
obvious
if you
what needs to happen.
If you do like this now, that's obviously missed, right?
Yes.
Whereas previously you couldn't tell. Like it was an easy mistake to make. Yeah, usability. It's amazing how much time we spend talking about usability.
Yeah, well, it's not amazing. It's part of the core of it, and we should say thank you to the good men and women at the University of Greenwich who helped us recently, didn't they? For
That was a fun experience, wasn't it?
A couple of days of usability. We shot down there and met a load of I think they were first and second years on their games course that got to play last Starship, and we hovered around wraith-like behind them, not really speaking, but quietly observing and forming notes.
Yeah,
I wish I could remember. Wish I could remember the opening to War of the Worlds now. You know,
yeah.
Do you remember? From a million miles away, unknown mind.
That's right, unknown mind.
Dun, dun, dun.
Viewed our planet with a mixture of envy and desire.
That's right.
Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Right, so our deuterium is loading into our deuterium tank. But you'll notice something is different, right? Our reactor, it's not on, right? Why is our fusion reactor not on? Like this would be enough. This would already be enough to power up the conventional reactor. You just feed fuel in and it turns on, right?
You haven't supercharged the control rods, mate.
That's right. Because it's a fusion reactor. The thing about a fusion reactor is it requires an enormous amount of energy to switch on. Right.
Okay. I was joking then, but yeah. Okay.
It's like a weird. It's like a sort of. It's an irony, isn't it? It's just like, if you can have a fusion reactor and you already know it's going to generate loads of power, right? But you're going to need loads of power to turn it on because you have to activate the magnetic field, obviously, that the deuterium is going to exist within, and then you have to power up the deuterium lasers that are going to accelerate the deuterium.
Uses lasers
to a very high temperature.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to connect it to our power network. Now we have a pretty big power grid here, so this is going to work. So the fusion reactor requires 500 megawatts of power to activate, and each of these reactors produces 100. Right, so we have a 600 megawatt power system here.
Okay.
And it's got lots of headroom, right? So at the moment our ship is just idling. We've got all this spare power available to us. And we've got batteries, right? You can activate a fusion reactor from battery if you have enough stored power.
Sounds like a lot of store power, though.
You need loads, yeah. You need loads. But you can't. The point is that you can't bootstrap a new ship with a fusion reactor.
No way.
You need to start with a conventional reactor. So if we connect it to our power grid, we will find that the fusion reactor begins to activate, and its little things start to charge up on top. So what it does is,
yeah. That's nice.
if you look at our power grid, you'll find our power grid output is increasing. So what this is the fusion reactor requires more and more power as it gets closer to activation. So everything ramps up. So our conventional reactors are ramping up to full power to activate this fusion reactor.
To drive it to ignition.
Yeah, and there we go. It has ignited. Right, and now we have a fusion reactor turned on. So it's not that hard, right? On this ship, it's not that hard.
No. But obviously it'll take a little while to be able to get there.
Yeah, but you have an interesting liability on your hands, because if your fusion reactor is broken, for example, during combat and has to be repaired, and then it's off, reactivating your fusion reactor will gobble a huge amount of power from your power grid. Right. Which your power grid, if we were in a space battle, would already be slammed, powering up all of your railguns and maybe whatever. So you might have to go into your power grid and say, power down the weapons and the engines and the logistics temporarily, right, whilst we activate our fusion reactors.
Can you do it through docking? Could you have another ship that
I see what you're saying.
Docked and then
you can't do that yet, but I really like that idea. So you're saying like you want to have like a piece of equipment on the side of our ship that's like a wall socket. And then you connect to another ship and you draw off their power.
Exactly that.
Yeah, I really like that idea.
I heard, I don't know if there's any truth in it, but this is what I heard, that in the sort of 80s in the UK, the miners were all on strike. You know, it's a difficult time and there were lots of blackouts and things. And we had commissioned the latest fleet of nuclear submarines. And Margaret Thatcher mandated that on every nuclear submarine there was a 3-pin plug on the outside so that you could plug your city into it.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
It wasn't.
sure it was
You don't mean a
3-pin
3-pin as in like a conventional wall socket with a 12-amp fuse, though, do you?
Well, I'm not an electrician, mate. I don't know whether that would work. Sometimes you get those
12 amps would potentially not be enough for a city.
Do you know? Did it think so? Okay. Well, there's some plug. You know, maybe it was like a 4-pin plug.
I've seen similar though. I've seen similar things done. I've seen there were satellite photos taken of the sort of Pacific Islands where China has been building various military bases on little islands, and they genuinely pull up a battleship off the shore and run a massive cable from the battleship to the ground and connect it to a substation, and then that is the temporary power system
source
for the new island that they're building, whilst they get a more conventional fuel reactor online. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I've had an idea for a while. I've had an idea of not only power but also having like little pipe ports. You could have a line of pipe ports, couldn't you? You could have one for fuel, one for oxygen, and one for water.
Yeah, right.
And then when two ships pulled up side by side, they could just automatically meet each other.
You could do a RAS.
You'd have an exchange of. This is getting very sexual, isn't it? You'd have an exchange of fluids between the two ships.
Of fluids. In the Navy, they call that a RAS, resupply at sea, resupply in space.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Resupply in space. A RIS.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, exactly. So glad we think alike on that. So there's our fusion reactor and it's running, and I literally said to our artist Jesse, he said like, you know, okay, fusion reactor, what do you want it to look like then? And I said I basically want it to look. I don't want it to look like the ITER fusion reactor. You know, I want it to look like Tony Stark's heart.
Right,
you know? That was the style guide. It's like the little round fusion reactor that Tony Stark has in his heart in Iron Man. You know, that's basically the style guide, and I think that's exactly what he delivered.
It's cool, yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it looks cool, doesn't it? So if we go to a larger example, this is a community-made ship. No, not the broken version. This one. This one is made by. It's the DRX Helicon Omicron. By Rack Rent. There's what it looks like. What a magnificent battleship. This ship is built to destroy.
Cool. Yeah. Right.
It is just banks and banks of weapon systems. And this has a trio of fusion reactors powering the ship, which this one's actually offline. So once you have one fusion reactor online, it becomes exponentially easier to power another one.
Right.
But yeah, this ship is.
How many megawatts do you get out of a fusion reactor then?
So a fusion reactor at peak generates 500 megawatts of power.
Okay, so you could use one to switch on another one.
You could,
but do nothing else.
At full power, yes. But it's a linear ramp. Yeah. The power demand is linearly increases as the activation rate goes up. So when the fusion reactor's at 99% activated, that's when it's pulling 500 watts.
Right.
So if and when they switch on, they come in at quite a high power. But yeah, so those three fusion reactors are a very safe setup because then it's not dependent on any one system. So if we put the system under load, like this is working because this system also has a lot of conventional reactors. So this is a very high-powered ship.
Yeah.
So if we go to if we jump to a hostile location, for example. So one of the other things I've done while we're here is I also did some work on the exterior view of the ship. So all of the gun turrets I was showing you are now visible in the exterior, just on the edge.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
They're docked at the moment. The weapons are all docked. And what I'm just doing is I've just plotted a course for this hostiles location. Let's do that jump. So if we go into exterior view, we should find that there is a collection of hostile vessels here, just waiting for us. These guys.
Yeah.
Let's switch. So when we switch into battle stations mode now, Our crew immediately run to man all of our weapon systems. Here they come. I don't think the ship has any of the new weapon consoles, so there's manually manning everything. And now the ships, you can actually see all of our external guns.
Oh yeah, it's like
popping out of their gun ports.
Poking out.
Brilliant, isn't it? I absolutely love it. I've had the art for this for a while. Like Jesse did the art for me for quite a while ago for all of these external gun turrets, but I never added it into the game until now.
Yeah.
Right, so
gun ports are open, Captain.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Let's see. Let's do this, and you can have all of these. I've done a fair amount of work on just the general exterior look. I'm trying to get rid of this, these like placeholder blue boxes in the exterior. Like, it shouldn't look like this,
Yeah.
But it requires. It's really frustrating because it requires all this art for the game is in like this semi isometric perspective, Then you go to exterior view and it needs to be like the top down perspective.
Yeah.
It's like we just made life so hard for ourselves. Anyway, there you go. That's some of that. It's quite a devastating ship when it gets into action.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Proper capital vessel, isn't it?
All thanks to our fusion reactors. Right, so I think that's
brilliant.
probably enough of fusion reactors. We get the general idea. So let's turn our attention to a ship at the other end of the scale. Something like the Gas Man. So this is a little Johnny Struggles ship, the Gas Man. It's in the game, so you might see this warping around. This is just a lovely little, well, the clue's in the name. It's a gas collector industrial vessel. It's got giant exterior ports, 8 of them. We're in a gas cloud. We're in a Metreon gas cloud system. You can see it there. I always like the parallax.
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
really
cool.
good.
Spent ages messing with it. I need to do more parallax effects, I think, in the visuals because they add a three-dimensionality to what is essentially a 2D game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool. So this thing is just going to sit here, right? Gas has been sucked in. If you look at our pipe setup, gas has been collecting in these huge tanks, and he's doing some processing here into refined Metreon, and then he's making fuel, right? So this is currently configured just to produce conventional fuel. But you could have another of these that's just producing deuterium. And that would be a very handy industrial ship to have. The only downside of it is that it's gobbling fuel at the same time. Right? It needs 6 reactors on board, and these 6 reactors are using the fuel that we're producing. So there's an overhead, making it quite inefficient. Well, we can now purchase solar panels. Right?
Okay.
So let's buy this. 1 solar panel. One's not going to do it, so I'm just going to cheat, and I'm going to spawn some boxed solar panels.
While you're doing this, I love this. This was one of the dreams for this, that it was going to become populated with all of these little ships, designed by other people with their own
Specific purpose.
unique. Yeah, exactly, and their own unique look. And this is Johnny Struggles, putting together this little almost drone-like, just floating around, catching.
And this could almost be an unmanned. It could almost be unmanned, and if it was unmanned, because he's got a room here given over to life support and waste treatment, which is such a waste of energy and time. And this crew, I mean, God, can you imagine being on board?
But this is where
Gas Man.
I know, but this is where sci-fi stories start, isn't it? It's the you're in the shittest ship doing the shittest job in the galaxy, and then you rise to become the hero. It's exactly
just a lowly little gas engineer. So these solar panels then they have to go outside, right? But you can't just build solar panels, like it won't let you build a solar panel that's disconnected. So we have to go to our editor and add scaffold onto our ship. Right? We have to add exterior scaffold, which is going to support our solar array.
Right.
So let's build some supports like this. That's probably enough. There we go. Built some scaffold. So you need to be... I'm in creative mode at the moment, so I can do this at any time. If you're not playing in creative mode, you have to be at a shipyard in order to gain access. You can use the ship editor, but it only actually gets done when you're at a shipyard. So now if I go to install solar panels, I can do... Yeah, let's do it like that. Let's do... like this. So you'll see our crew put spacesuits on and pick up the solar panel boxed and jump out the airlock, right? And appear in the external view of the ship. Right, and fly over. Yeah, this is scary. This is a risky operation for them, you know. And they'll start installing our solar array. Let's put some there. Let's put some over here. Let's see. Yeah, I need to do scaffold. There we go. That's getting built. So you can see that these are simple, right? They don't require any fuel, obviously. They're solar panels. So
do you need to wire them in?
Yes. So they have an electrical port, which is output only.
Okay.
So we have to go and draw a cable. That's why I put this third line in. So you can't. You also can't draw cables on nothing.
Through space. Yeah.
So it has to be. You have to draw your cable onto scaffold like that. So I can plumb those in like that, and I can plumb these in like this. Didn't quite make it to the last one. Cables. There we go. And let's bring those in there. There we go. So now we have a solar array. So each solar panel generates 10 megawatts, right?
Okay.
So 10 of these solar panels is equivalent to one of these conventional reactors, which does 100 megawatts. And one of these reactors is equivalent to 5 of these reactors is equivalent to one fusion reactor.
Fusion drive, yeah.
So you can, so realistically, if you look at our power grid, we are using 300 or so. So we can cut this right down now. We can go to pipes, disconnect the fuel pipe for half of these reactors, and replace them with solar instead. And if you don't have reactors, you don't need crew to load fuel into the reactor circuit because you're not consuming anything. So you could get rid of all the crew as well and potentially make this a 100% unmanned vessel.
Automated.
Yeah.
Presumably
if we had those ports that we were talking about earlier, because this is a fuel generating ship, you could have a fuel port on the outside, couldn't you? So you could fly up to this and just get a load of fuel off whenever you needed it.
Presumably they're quite vulnerable to meteorite strikes and...
Yeah. So these are not protected at all. So any weapons fire that hits these won't even be mitigated by hull damage, and they'll just be smashed immediately. So it's not... Right, you wouldn't fit... If you had a combat vessel... You wouldn't want to have a solar sail attached to it.
Yeah.
They also need to be huge. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is 1.3 conventional fuel reactors. So you need a lot of solar panels. And since we've been playing, I've kind of decided that when you're in a gas cloud, I'm going to have them operate at a lower rate as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask that as well. Are they
because you've got attenuation of gas cloud.
Yeah.
And they don't work in hyperspace either, because you're in hyperspace. There's no solar energy reaching you at that point. So you can't power your vessel entirely from them unless you have a good battery set up, because when you jump to hyperspace, you'll suddenly be getting zero power.
Quite brittle, that.
Yeah. But they are really designed for low power consumption energy ships. Well, we now have, for the first time ever, a 3-tier power generation. Right? We have solar panels and fuel reactors and fusion reactors. And they all have slightly different operating conditions and slightly different use cases.
And they all need to be ramped up to, don't they?
Exactly. Okay. That's our tour of the new power systems.
Nice.
So, let's talk about the big thing. From our point of view, the big thing that we've been doing during all of Alpha 7 and all of Alpha 8.
Yes, and prior to that, to a certain extent.
And prior to that, I mean, we're talking about probably the last 4 to 5 months of work.
Yeah.
Has gone into something that was a really big change, and opens up a lot of possibilities, I think.
I agree.
Let's load a save game from industry mode. something like this, right? This is the save game that we were looking at earlier, the one that I ultimately ended up building a fusion reactor on. We've got 2 ships, right? We've got our JMC mining station, and this is really designed to sit here, and it's got some mining lasers, and we're mining this asteroid belt for resources that we need to build the Stargate. And we have another ship called the Industrious over here. Right, now this ship is armed. Right, you can see it's just made short work of this loser. Right? Picked on the wrong guys. Look how it turned out for you. You got dead.
It turned out for you. I love that effect as well. It looks really good.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones that we've wiped out. Either there's someone else over here. They were just a scavenger, so I'm not sure they deserved it, but well, tough shizzle, anyway. You know, deep space rules.
It's
so
tough out there.
So this ship is really much more designed for doing missions, right? It's a runabout, right? It's less Deep Space Nine and more the Defiant.
Defiant class, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really aimed at doing things like eradicate armored thugs, you know, as a contract.
Yeah.
Or urgent passenger requests. And as we've established in our sector map, you know, this is a fixed world space now. We don't leave this sector at any time. So these are our locations. So there's a derelict here that might be interesting to explore. And there are hostiles over here, which is a challenging battle that we'll have to overcome. And there are other locations where we can buy more resources. So our JMC mining station needs a constant supply of resources because it's producing Stargate parts. And, you know, in the Stargate, in phase 2, you have to make Stargate resin, right, which is made out of metreon gas.
Right.
Well, there isn't any metreon gas here, right, as we know. Yeah, so let's say... So imagine, for example, we're in this situation. Let's bring our ships together. So what has happened in every version of the last Starship since we started work is we line our ships up and we go to our sector map, don't we? And we say, let's go and visit this colony. And then we get ready to do an FTL jump. And our fleet would travel en masse. So it was kind of like this mining would come to an end and, you know, our 2 ships would travel over there. I mean, let's say it's even more than that. Let's say we have that ship that we were just messing with, the Gasman, right? I've just imported it here, right?
Yeah,
so this is the perfect ship for gathering the gas that we need to make Metreon, to make Stargate resin, right? Because it's a gas collecting ship. So, I've been bigging it up for a long time. What the fuck have we actually done? We have made it so that every system in this map can now be simulated simultaneously.
It's very cool.
That's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
So the previous simulation model meant that only the current system, which in this case is this one, only the current system is actually being simulated, and the other systems are all frozen in time. They're frozen in your save game and effectively stopped. Nothing's
happening.
But now they can all be running. They are all running. And so at any time, multiple things can happen around this sector map simultaneously. So let's demonstrate a use case for this, shall we? We have our Gasman. Let's go to our sector map. And let's jump to this colony
where we have a gas cloud.
Which is in the middle of a gas cloud where we can do our best work. So I'm doing prepare jump. The FTL screen has changed, and now only one of our ships is aligning because the other 2 are going to stay here. Let's get you on your way. Right, we're jumping. Look in the sector map. There we are.
Yeah.
Right, we've made our jump to the gas cloud. Our gas collectors are operating, and this thing is now busy. And our solar panels, meaning we're not wasting our energy, right? But we can. Our system list has now split in 2, and we can go back to the Industrious and the JMC mining station that are still in the original Stargate sector.
Just the opportunities now. I mean, it did take us a long time to get here because it was a difficult problem to solve.
It was a major re-engineer of the whole simulation system.
Yeah. But now
Yeah.
you can just see how things are going to play out, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think that you can just leave that ship there collecting gas, that's not going to happen. You know, other things are going to be coming along, aren't they? They're going to be interfering with that vessel.
That's right.
In future iterations, there'll be hostiles in that environment
Yeah.
that will come and
You're
attack
always
it.
going to have to. You're always going to have to keep your eye on each of your operations. You know,
Yeah.
because we've got a little operation going on here now, and we've got a little operation going on over here. And whilst
right.
we were here, a new ship jumped into the system. Here it is. Happens to be friendly, but that's just good luck.
Yeah.
So you know, we can go further. We can say the Industrious, for example, could go to the contracts list and accept this mission to eradicate armored thugs. Say accept. Right, this is a good
Mission
combat
accepted.
vessel. Sector map. Right, so now let's jump our Industrious to that location and start doing the mission. Our drones come home. Right, the drones that were busy doing work there. And so we're splitting our focus, and we're making it possible to achieve multiple objectives at once. Because one of the things that I think this has come from is that we try to move away from generic ships that do everything. You know, a single monolithic ship that does everything. This station is not even really designed to move around very much.
No,
it's just designed to mine and produce and do the whole factory industry
It's
stuff.
your home base, isn't it?
Yeah. This ship is our Defiant and our Runabout and our armed vessel. Because we're in the middle of Stargate mode, we actually have this warning here that hostiles are coming anyway in 4 minutes. Right? A hostile fleet is going to attack our starbases in 4 minutes' time. So we know we're going to have to be ready to defend ourselves. But in the meantime, we can jump around
4 minutes
and take care of these additional objectives. And this is all happening. See, our list is now split into 3 systems. You know,
Yeah, I see.
these guys are now coming at us. We better go into battle stations. I'm not actually going to direct this battle. I'm just making a point.
Let it play out.
Let's go to full. Open systems. There you go. This will do. Let me just make sure we don't get completely owned. And see if I can hit their engines. This is a side point. This is a new effect I added. Flames coming out the engines when they're damaged.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I love it.
I found a really good tactic for dealing with multiple ships is to target the engines, because when you blow their engines up, they're just dead in the water.
Right?
And if you're taking too much fire, you just draw the battle away from the ships that are dead in the water, and they can no longer participate in the battle. And it gives you a chance to split the enemy up into different bits. But while this is happening, our JMC mining station is still here, trucking away.
Still mining away.
Right? Doing its Stargate production, making
Yeah.
our parts, right? Doing the Factorio bit, right? Progressing the Stargate project. And at the same time as all of that, our gas man is still here, right? Sucking up all the gas, solar powered, right? Because that's new as well. And at any time when we need to, well, at the moment we're actually producing fuel, but at any time this is now our own stop-off point for refueling, right? So if we have a big ship that is very low on fuel, we know that we can just jump to this location, and this vessel will always be here, ready to provide us with new fuel.
And over time, we could have a fleet of these vessels, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One becomes 2, becomes 5.
Well, I said earlier, didn't I?
Building up over time.
This one's making fuel, but you could have another one right next to it making Stargate resin, or making metreon gas that you need for Stargate resin. And as well, the JMC mining station is quite a big, heavy-duty mining vessel and industrial platform. It's kind of a little bit of everything. It doesn't need to be. You could have just a dedicated mining vessel, you know, and so you can manufacture these at shipyards. So if you go to a shipyard and click on construction shipyard, you'll find there's a button that says buy ship. And with this list, you can pick from the list of all the ships in your ship library any previous ship that you've seen that you want to manufacture. Right? So if you make ships in the ship editor, they show up in this list. And if you subscribe to ships on the Steam Workshop, they show up in the list. So some of them are really expensive. But the point is that you can add more ships to your fleet very easily. And I can just leave this ship here, right, and permanently mining this Tillium ore deposit, for example. And you know, at the same time, this ship is still engaged in battle with these other guys.
Fighting away.
Right? I mean, in reality, I would have paid a bit more attention to this battle.
Yeah.
and the gas man is still here doing its thing. It's so cool, isn't it? It's like,
It is really
It's
cool.
like the sector
cool.
map is just alive suddenly with things happening.
Yeah, exactly. Different things, and we can have missions that span these different sectors. Tidlets is going to come back and play out in this, and other story missions will take place across the sector.
Oh look, we're under attack. I completely lost track of the.
Get everyone back! Get everyone back in now!
That's very interesting. I lost track of the hostile timer. Hostile fat duck fighter. Look at that thing. Right, this. Well, we are partially armed at least. Yeah. So I need to. I just need to return home. Yeah. So this is sort of what you're talking about, right? We have been attacked, right? But our mining station has been attacked. It's only in one location, and our fleet is split up amongst multiple locations, and our main combat vessel is out of position, and so we're going to want to jump back. We're going to want to jump our combat vessel back to the Stargate. So if we go to
this is tense, right? This is tense. Like, we're jumping back, but it's taking a pounding,
Yeah. It's
hold on, JMC. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
In reality,
just hold on.
If I'd been paying more attention, there you go. So there's our industrial ship just warped in, right? And then it immediately opens up. Right. So you saw it there from the point of view of the station as like a friendly ship warping into battle. And it's like, aha, well, now the tables have turned, you hostile duck fighter.
That's right. Target that explosion and fire.
Yeah. What a classic.
I mean, it's a perfect example of that, isn't it? Because Sulu just pops out of warp and just...
That's right, yeah.
It's like
the battle appears to be going the way of one side, but you don't realise that we have other military assets en route.
God, it's so good. It was so good, old school Star Trek.
Yeah,
he's so calm when he says it as well,
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. He's got that excitement, but he's a Starfleet captain, right? So he's calm. He doesn't scream like the new generation.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel sad. I feel sad. Said no captain on any naval vessel.
No, not in my Starfleet.
Target that explosion and fire. It's because he knows the battle's won, and because the Klingons' stealth advantage had been neutralized by clever thinking. Star Trek was always about the clever thinking, wasn't it? Ultimately, it only came down to that one torpedo. That's the least interesting bit. The interesting bit is retrofitting a torpedo.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And look at that. You see,
that one thing.
What you gonna do now, bitch? You're just completely stationary.
Have it. And that effect reminds me. I think the game had 2 names, but I knew it as Zarge. Back on like an acorn at Archimedes or something. It had that little effect coming out of the...
That's right. Well, I mean, as you are aware, I am a fan of the retro style. So, our particles are rectangles, and these particles are 6-sided polygons.
Yes.
It's all deliberate, It's part of the introversion look, isn't it? Because as we spread out and put more assets into the system, we're going to have to defend a wider frontier.
That's right.
So a fast-moving, heavily armed frigate is absolutely what we're going to want at that point. This Industrious is too slow and is a bit of a liability because it's never going to be able to get around quick enough, I think.
Oh my God. So have we got an ever-evolving threat forcing a player to evolve their
That would be nice,
strategy?
wouldn't it? Well,
have we got a game loop, mate? Have we finally got a game loop?
Do we finally have a fucking game loop? Is that what you're asking?
And for those out there that said we should have had a game loop from the start,
try making a fucking game.
You make games,
Yeah, go on, make your own fucking game.
You make your own game. Go make your own one with a game loop. With your game loops and your interfaces and your tutorials.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you just install Unity, right, and make a game?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because it's hard and we're trying and it's brilliant.
It's hard. Really well. I feel sad. It's so hard. So you can see the battle's over now. One other thing that I really like is that our combined. This has always been the case, but I really like the fact that our combined drone fleets are repairing both ships now. They're just doing the patch-up work after that battle, and these drones just belong to both ships. But it's just a really cool. I don't know. There's something about the fact that this is still here.
Yeah,
still just trucking away.
That's right.
We're joined up, and soon we'll split up again, and then some ships will go one place, other ships will go another place, and it feels like we've opened it up a little bit. It feels like we've opened it up a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does.
we got sent a save game of someone that was experiencing a little bit of a bug where they said, I've got this problem. I've got so many derelict ships, right, that the list of ships is off the bottom of the screen, so I can't select my own ships anymore, right? And they sent us this save game, and it's like, what the hell happened here? Do you know what I mean? It's like, look at this. It is Wolf 359. They've just been decimating all these enemy fleets.
It's a tragedy. Yeah, it's a tragedy.
But if you play Stargate mode for long enough, loads of enemy ships attack you.
Yeah.
So I've since made it so that they slowly remove themselves off the ship list, because they're not interesting anymore once they've been destroyed. And also, derelicts that are in space now slowly erode away.
Nice.
Right, it takes a long time, but they erode away one square at a time until they're gone completely.
Right.
This is all necessary because of the new multi-system simulation, because the systems are now running, and the derelict ships just accumulate over time as you get into space battles. And they, you suddenly have to deal with like the lifespan of objects that can be
and then
many
this is
hours.
What makes it so much fun, right? Because then we get debris fields, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And they're always a thing. Debris
the wreckage
fields,
of debris,
aren't they?
yeah. And I'm going to make it so you can come back and scavenge these more.
Yeah,
and you can always scavenge them for stuff that flew out, but I want to be able to scavenge the metal, because I feel like metal is such a key requirement in the game. And after a while, you're going to mine all the asteroid belts out, So you're going to need another source of metal.
You're going to have to recycle it.
But this is a save game from someone that is 43 hours into the game,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So they've been playing for a while at this point.
So one of the major issues that we found was that we had some players with tens of hours in the game, right? Really enjoying it, really building ships,
43
really
hours, 42 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Really understanding what we were trying to do, what we were trying to deliver with this game. But we also had an awful lot of people just kind of bouncing off of it, right? And not really getting it and not really understanding it. And
well, it's a hard game to understand. It's confusing.
It is a hard game to understand. Exactly. It is a hard game to understand. And we've spent an awful lot of time really polishing that onboarding and initial experience, haven't we? I mean, we feel as if we've really sort of broken the back of introducing new players to this game. So it's the other major thing that we've been doing in the last few months is this whole new onboarding tutorial system, which is running now. This is the experience when you first run the game now. It drops you in, and it's built around the Stargate concept and the fixed system, but it really holds your hand at the beginning of the game and helps you to get over the initial difficult parts to understand, absolutely.
So it operates like this in the form of like a tutorial that gives you quite specific instructions of what to do. It's taken us a long time to do this. I feel like it's not like a natural area for us,
No.
But it's so critical, especially in a game like this. I mean, there's so much in this game, but it's not easy. It's not an easy game to understand.
No, and it was never supposed to be. You players that are going to play do need to have an affinity to complexity, but at the same time, there's a balance
to complexity.
Yeah.
That is a band name, if ever I've heard one. Affinity to complexity.
You could have that one. But some of it is a little bit fiddly and a little bit esoteric. There you go, fiddly esoteric. That's
not so good a band name, but
not so good.
That's a pet name for somebody in prison, I think. Fiddly esoteric.
Yeah, that's funny. But if you have been looking at Last Starship, if it's on your wish list, if you think this is something that would interest you, now is definitely the time to jump in, right? The tutorial is there, the onboarding is there, the structure of the game is there, and we're really going to be kind of launching not launching, you know what I mean? Like taking big strides forward.
That's right. And I think the other thing that the usability was missing in Alpha 1 of the game, without a doubt. We had a very, very basic bare bones tutorial. I wouldn't even call it a tutorial. It was like a single on-screen message, which confused everyone. But we were also missing the long-term objective. Like, what is the long-term aim of this game? And those two things combined made it a really difficult game to get your head around when you first started playing. It's like, what am I doing in this game? Whereas now, we have the onboarding tutorial, which is designed to explain. This is the stuff that people get stuck on early on, the pipes and cables, But we also have the tutorial also takes you through the concept of the Stargate project and your overall industrial aim of building that mega project. But also uses, also by the end of the tutorial you end up with multiple ships doing things all at once, So it takes you through the contracts board and everything. It's been a real major piece of work.
So we're making this video at the end of 2023, and we're really pleased with how far the game has come. There's been a bit of a pivot, the sector-wide simulation, but it's made it so much better, so much stronger. We also know now that the way in which we're going to develop this game is not with 6 weekly updates, but fewer updates. We're thinking probably 3 or 4 a year, something like that. So bigger updates, but with more content going forward. So that's what we're looking to do. If you like the last Starship, now is definitely a great time to get involved. The Steam sale is going to be running fairly soon, so come over and check it out. Pick it up for yourself, and if it doesn't look like it's your kind of game, I'm surprised because we're 40 minutes into this video or however far we are and you're still watching. But if it's not for you, then your mum will love it.
Nice.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right, Introversion out.